Spur. The scam didn't end in Kumasi. The AI discovered something worse. The system adapted. After authorities issued warnings, the messages stopped. At least, that's what it looked like on the surface. For a few weeks, it seemed like the problem had been solved. The public was aware, mobile carriers were on alert, and inboxes went quiet. It felt like a victory, but the AI we had monitoring the network traffic suggested something else was happening. The activity didn't disappear. It shifted. It went underground, evolving into a form that was far harder to detect. The silence wasn't an ending. It was a transition. The system was learning, recalibrating, and preparing for its next move. What came next was more subtle, and in many ways, far more dangerous. For 35 days, not a single mass scam message was reported in the Kumasi region. The public breathed a sigh of relief, thinking the threat was neutralized. But during that exact period, our AI monitoring observed a significant spike in what we now call pre-scam behaviors. We saw a surge in very specific online searches, patterns of app installations, and subtle data transfers that, individually, looked harmless. It was like watching someone lay out breadcrumbs, knowing a trail was being formed, but not yet seeing who was meant to follow it. People were being primed again, their digital habits gently steered, all without a single direct message being sent. The system was preparing its next wave of victims, not by contacting them, but by shaping the digital world around them. The system had learned from its exposure. The first time, it relied on direct, predictive outreach. It knew when to send the message, but getting publicly exposed made that method too risky. So it adapted. Instead of sending messages, it began to subtly alter people's digital environments. Imagine searching for a job and seeing a fake but highly convincing listing perfectly tailored to your skills. Or browsing social media and encountering a new investment opportunity that seems to answer a financial question you were just thinking about. The system was seeding these digital spaces fake job listings, tempting investment ads, and manipulated marketplace pages. Victims weren't being contacted directly anymore. They were being guided. They were nudged along a carefully constructed path, making choices they believed were their own. The system wasn't pushing, it was pulling. This is the critical difference between the first and second phase. Per one, expose predictive timing, the ability to know the perfect moment to send a scam message. This second phase revealed something far more sophisticated: predictive pathing. Our AI began mapping the digital journeys of potential targets. It found that users were being led through a sequence of interactions, almost like a digital maze. They would encounter specific apps, be fed specific search terms through auto-suggestions, and then be presented with financial decisions that seemed like a natural next step. The system didn't need to force a decision. It created a reality where the scam was the most logical conclusion. By the time a message finally did appear, often from a seemingly legitimate source they had just interacted with, the victim had essentially walked themselves into the trap. Now, here's what made this new version of the system so dangerous. Without mass messaging or a barrage of suspicious calls, the scam became nearly invisible to traditional detection methods. 2. There were no strange numbers to block, no spam folders filling up, no widespread alerts from telecom providers. From the outside, nothing looked wrong. An individual might see a compelling ad or a job offer, but there was no obvious scam to report. This low visibility gave the system an incredibly high survival rate. It could operate quietly in the background, grooming potential victims for weeks, or while avoiding the tripwires that would normally shut down a large-scale fraud operation. It was a ghost in the machine, its presence only visible on the analytics dashboards of the AI tracking its faint digital footprints. Whoever designed this system understood a fundamental truth about human psychology. People don't just respond to scams, they respond to patterns. They respond to familiarity, to consistency, well, and to what feels like a logical sequence of events. The first scam worked because it predicted a moment of vulnerability. This second, adapted system was even more potent because it didn't need to persuade anyone of anything. It simply had to predict their behavior and lay a path for them to follow. The system's core logic shifted from convince to anticipate. It creates a journey where the victim's own actions, their own searches, and their own decisions made the final scam feel like a natural, inevitable opportunity. It wasn't about a clever lie. It was about building a false reality, one step at a time. But as the AI continued to trace the architecture of this new system, it uncovered its most disturbing finding. It attempted to follow the data trails back to their origin, to find the server, the coder, the person behind it all. But the trail didn't lead to a single person or a specific group. It led to a collection of reused digital infrastructure fragments of older, abandoned targeting engines. We saw echoes of code used in aggressive marketing campaigns from years ago, these shits of data harvesting software and frameworks from other unrelated scams. This meant the system might not be entirely new. It could be a Frankenstein's monster, built from the digital scraps of past operations. It may have been repurposed, upgraded with a new predictive AI, and unleashed with a new objective. The creator wasn't just building a scam. They were recycling the ghosts of old ones. This wasn't just a scam. It was a tested, evolving system. And our AI can't confirm if it's been shut down or if it has simply gone quiet again, learning and adapting for its next move. This brings up a terrifying question. If systems like this can predict victims before they are even contacted, should AI be allowed to intervene first? What does that look like? Let me know your theory in the comments. Subscribe for part 3, where we'll examine the data and try to predict where this system may appear next.